Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're doing well today. I'm really excited to talk with you more about how to pivot your healthcare career into medical writing. This conversation is really going to be for healthcare professionals, particularly if you are a pharmacist, physician, public health practitioner, nurse, PA, any type of person who has a career in the health professions and you've been interested in learning more about medical and health writing and how to pivot into that space. For those who might not know me, my name is Megan. I am a public health pharmacist turned health content strategist. I create health content strategies and health content for digital health companies. And I also run a 4-month accelerated program called Health Professionals to Health Writers that helps pharmacists and other healthcare professionals learn how to replace a portion of their full time healthcare income through freelance health content writing. And because I know a lot of fellow healthcare professionals are new to the landscape of medical and health writing, every Wednesday, we have these conversations that allow us to kind of dive deeper into medical and health writing and helping you learn about ways to enter into the field. So that's what we're here for today. And I am really glad to have you here. If you are watching this live or if you're catching the replay, you can always feel free to drop your questions in the comments. If I don't catch it on the live video, I'll be able to reply to you later after the fact. So let's go ahead and jump into it. There are 3 steps that you are going to want to take if you're interested in pivoting your healthcare career into some type of medical writing. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is identify your why. And specifically, when I say your why, I'm talking about your goals and your interests. So by entering into medical writing in some form or fashion, what is it that you hope to achieve? What are your goals, first and foremost? I'll share some examples because sometimes it can be hard to kind of generate these ideas from scratch. So I'll share some examples that should get your wheels turning. So in terms of goals, sometimes a person's goal is to switch careers, right? Maybe you are working in direct patient care, you're seeing patients on a daily or consistent basis, and you just want to completely switch your career, switch your job title, your role. I talk to a lot of people who are interested in pivoting into medical writing so that they can work in pharma, the pharmaceutical industry, or so that they can work in public health. So these are examples of having a goal of completely switching your career. Some people are not necessarily in a place where they want to completely leave whatever full-time role they're in, but maybe they want to have some type of side gig, side hustle, freelance situation. So in addition to working their full-time job, you might want to also kind of have a something on the side, right? Do medical writing on the side. So that could be a goal of yours. Another goal kind of related to either of those 2 things is just to bring in some extra money. That might be by switching careers into a higher paying role. That might be by doing a freelance or something on the side, but just to kind of bring in extra money so that you can pay off student loans. That was a core part of my goal, pay off student loans, save for vacations, save for kids' college funds, things of that nature. And then another goal that you could have is to flex your creative brain. So as we know, we don't always get to do that in healthcare, especially when providing direct patient care. We don't always get to exercise the more creative part of our brain. So sometimes people are interested in medical and health writing because they feel like it gives them an opportunity to use a part of their brain that they are not often using with their patients or in their work settings. So those are some examples of goals that you might have when thinking about pivoting into medical writing. Also, you should think about what your interests are. So, what kinds of things do you enjoy or could you see yourself enjoying doing? Are you really good at or interested in creating slideshows and slide decks? Do you enjoy writing patient materials, whether it's brochures or fact sheets or blogs or articles? Are you really interested in sales and that whole process of convincing a person that this type of service or product is useful to them or beneficial to them in some way? Do you enjoy getting into the weeds on regulations around drugs, medications, vaccines, healthcare delivery? Like, is that regulatory part of healthcare something that really interests you and grabs your attention? Are you interested in influencing public health on a broader scale? That was a really important element for me. And one of the things that led me to a career in writing and communications was knowing upfront, even from the time that I entered pharmacy school, that I preferred to have a career and work settings where I could influence public health on a large, broad scale. And that I preferred that over having a career that was rooted in direct patient care and one-to-one interactions. So sometimes if you are in that type of position where you are focusing more on one-to-one direct patient care, sometimes people are in a space where they're like, okay, this is great and I enjoy doing this, but I also want to have a more broad impact on the public health or healthcare system at large. So if that's an interest of yours, that's also something to note. And you might have plenty of other interests. Again, these are just a few examples to help get your mind thinking about these things, because this is an important step one. Okay, if you have questions about step one, let me know. The next step that I recommend is to then have that list of your goals and your interests, and then go and learn about what the different types of medical and health writing are. So one common misconception when it comes to medical writing is that medical writing is medical writing and that's it. And this is something that we talked about in last week's video, that medical writing is not a singular thing. Medical writing is an umbrella term, and there are several different types of medical writing, different types of health writing that a person could specialize in and learn about. There are at least 9 different types, and I know for a fact that there are more than that. There are 9 that I typically talk to folks about because they're some of the most common. But it's really important to get familiar with each of these types of medical and health writing, because they each have a different angle, they require different skill sets. You are producing different products in each of these types of medical and health writing. And based on your particular goals and interests, those might align better with certain types of medical and health writing than with others. So the reason why I had you all first make that list of your goals and interests is so that when you go to learn more about these types of medical and health writing, you'll be able to identify what types might be best aligned with your goals and your interests, because you've already thought about those things. So again, we talked about this in last week's video, but I have a playlist where I dive into the 9 different types of medical and health writing. I talk about what they are, what they entail, what types of roles you see those types of medical and health writing happening in, like the names of some of those roles. And it'll give you some information, some more information about whether or not those types of medical and health writing might be aligned with your interests. So what I will do is I will drop the link to that playlist in the comments for this video, or in the caption for this video, so that you can go check out that playlist. Once you have a chance to do that, and you have identified preferably one, or ideally one, but 1 to 2 types of medical or health writing that you might be interested in, and the next thing it's important to do is to start taking action, right? There are a lot of people who come to me and say, oh, I would love to do health writing. And then we chat about health writing, and then that's the end of the conversation because they don't take any action on it. Don't do that. If you have identified something that you are interested in pursuing, don't let fear or lack of awareness or lack of experience or not having the confidence, don't let those things stop you from learning, right? Whenever you are trying to pivot into a new direction, there's going to be some humility required, because you are coming from a place where you are an expert in your position, in your role, in your field, and you are very comfortable there because you know what you are doing. But if you ever have a goal that requires you to learn something new or to pivot, it's going to be uncomfortable because you're not going to be that expert. You're not necessarily going to know what you're doing, but you're never going to gain that expertise and to get to the point where you are capable of executing those responsibilities if you don't start somewhere, right? And that somewhere is going to be an uncomfortable place because you are not going to have a lot of skills or a lot of information. But if you don't start, you will never get to that place where you feel comfortable and you're actually able to successfully make that pivot into medical or health writing. Okay, that was my soapbox. Now I'll get back to the conversation. What you want to do is, after you identify whatever particular type of medical or health writing you are interested in, you want to start thinking of ways that you can get experience. And the reason for that is because one of the most important things that employers or people who hire freelancers or contractors are going to be looking for is experience. It is going to be pretty difficult for you to land a role in any type of medical or health writing if you cannot prove that you have or meet those basic competencies that are required for that type of role. Okay, so my particular specialty area, or the type of health writing that I specialize in, is health content writing. There's a specific pathway into health content writing. There's a specific way to get experience for health content writing. We'll talk more about 3 different ways to get medical writing experience. If you don't already have it, that will be the topic of next week's video. Spoiler alert. But for other types of medical and health writing, there might be other ways that are better to get experience, or other ways that you can better demonstrate your writing capabilities for that type of role, which is why, again, it's important to settle in on a type of medical or health writing that you are interested in first, because that is going to dictate how you then start to seek experience. I can share up front, because this is a question that I get a lot, that for people who are interested in more formal types of medical writing, where you are writing for a clinical audience or for a health professions audience, or you are writing for, well, yeah, let's leave it there, where you're writing for a clinical or health professions audience, the American Medical Writers Association is a great resource for you to dig into and use to learn more about that more formal type of health writing. If you're learning about, scientific publications, things of that nature. If you are interested in regulatory writing, Regulatory Affairs Professional Society, I think that's what RAPS stands for. That is going to be a good source for you to go learn more about regulatory writing. Thank you, Steve. So just as a heads up, those are 2 professional organizations that are going to give you some really good background on those types of medical writing. For other types, there isn't necessarily a singular organization that's going to be able to help you. But again, I want to emphasize that the key here is that you want to make sure that you are finding ways to get experience, because you can have all the knowledge and the background that you want to have, but if you don't have that proof, that evidence of your capabilities and your competencies as a writer, it's going to be very difficult to convince someone to hire you or to bring you on as a consultant. So again, next week, we're going to be talking about 3 ways that you can start getting that medical writing experience if you don't have it already. For now, if you have not yet created that list of goals and interests that you have, and if you have not checked out the playlist on the 9 different types of medical and health writing, highly recommend that you start with those 2 steps, and then make sure you tune in next week so we can talk more about experience. Again, I'll leave the link for the playlist in the caption for today, and I'll chat with y'all in the comments and next week.